everyone! Today we're going to be doing a little bit of Algebra 1 review and reviewing slope. Our objectives for today are that students will be able to find slopes of lines and use slope to identify parallel and perpendicular lines. Let's get started. Alright, so classifying different slopes. We have 4 different slopes based on what our line looks like. If our line looks like this first one right here, if it's going up, and what I want you to imagine is a person or a cute snowman like this going up a hill and skiing up a hill, all right? If your cute little snowman or person, little skier, is going up the hill, this is a positive slope. So we call this slope positive. Okay? Then, if a person or a cute little snowman is skiing down the hill, all right, they're going down the slope, okay, down the skiing slope, this would be negative. If a skier is on a flat surface, they're not going anywhere, they're not going down or up, they're stuck on a flat surface. This is a slope of 0 because they're going 0 miles an hour. They're stuck on a flat surface. All right, and then while this next depiction is a little bit sad, okay, don't cry, don't be sad about this, but this is how I remember the next slope. So think of a person skiing along, ski along, and then they fall off a cliff and they're just a big splat, and they're an undefined mess. All right, our poor little snowman, we can't really figure out what happened to him after he fell off the cliff. Now he's just a puddle of water, all right? So this would be an undefined slope. So, skier going up our hill. Oops, want to separate these. All right, so going up the hill, positive slope. Down the hill, negative slope. Stuck and going 0 miles an hour, 0 slope if you're on a flat surface. And then skiing along, falls off a cliff and is a puddle of water. Undefined puddle of water. We can't tell that he was a snowman. All right, there's our 4 slopes. Now we can find the slope in multiple ways. If we're given a graph, we want to use the formula m equals rise over run. All right, so how many we go up and down is our rise, how many we go right or left is our run. So what we want to do is we want to start by looking at 2 points on our graph. So we've got point A and point B. Our rise is how many did we go up or down to get to point B, and our run is how many did we go left or right. So, to get to B, we went up 4, and we went to the right 5. All right, so you went up 4 boxes to get to this point, and over 5 boxes to get to that point. So our rise would be 4 because we rose up, and because we went up, it's positive 4, and because we went to the right, it'll be positive 5. So our slope is 4/5. For 2, we want to look at P and Q, and to get to Q from P, we start at P, and we're going to go down 3, so because we're going down, our rise is negative, and then we went to the right 6. So if M is rise over run, our rise was negative 3 because we went down, and then we went to the right 6. Now we always want to simplify our fraction, so we can simplify negative 3/6. So our slope becomes negative 1/2 because we divide the top and the bottom by 3. All right, now number 3 is a vertical line. So we need to remember that vertical lines have an undefined slope. All right, think of your little snowman falls off a cliff and he's an undefined puddle of water. All right, so the slope of this line would be undefined. And number 4, line JK is a horizontal line. So think of your snowman who's stuck on a flat surface. He's going 0 miles an hour, not going anywhere. So the slope of a horizontal line is always 0. Now we can also find the slope if we're given ordered pairs. And if we're given ordered pairs, what we want to do is use the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All right, so this formula is very important. Highly recommend you memorize this formula, all right? So for number 5, here's an example where we want to find the slope of AB and we're given 2 ordered pairs. First thing we want to do is label them. x1, all right, y1, because remember an ordered pair is always x comma y. So we're going to call the first x x1, the first y y1. We're going to call the second one x x2, the second y y2. Then we want to remember our formula. Our formula is right above there, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then we're going to plug these in. So we know y2 is -1. So we're going to say -1 minus y1 is 5 over x2 we said was 6 minus x1 is -2. All right, and be careful whenever you're subtracting a negative number. When we're plugging in our values, use parentheses because subtracting a negative number is the same as adding. So we want to rewrite this as -1 minus 5 over 6 plus 2. All right, because subtracting a negative number is the same as adding. Then, just trying to give us a little bit more space here. Then we can keep simplifying this. So -1 minus 5 gives us -6 over 6 plus 2 is 8. And then we want to simplify this further, divide the top and the bottom by 2 to simplify our fraction, simplify our slope, and we get -3/4. So our slope is -3/4. All right, number 7. What we want to do first, label our points, our ordered pairs, x1, y1, x2, y2. And then we want to remember our formula. Slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then we're plugging our numbers in. So y2 is 2, so we're going to say m equals 2 minus -4 over 9 is our x2 minus x1 is 9. So we simplify this and we get 2, change it to plus 6 over 9 minus 9. 2 plus 6 is 8 over 0. Now there's something important you need to know. We can never divide by 0. All right, something I want you to remember. If you're dividing by 0, any number, so say n is a variable, n can be any number. If you're dividing by 0, no, you cannot do this. Your answer will always be undefined. If 0 is on top, all right, we're saying 0 divided by a number, so k can be any number. That's okay. We can have 0 as the numerator, and that just equals 0, okay? Plug it in your calculator. If you did 8 divided by 0, you would get an error in your calculator because you cannot divide by 0. It's a big no-no, all right? No, you cannot divide by 0. All right, if you look above in the room, on the wall, above the meme board, you see that I have these signs, so they're there to remind you. I'm not going to take those down during the test, all right? So if you're watching this video super carefully, you will remember that. Okay, so 8 divided by 0, we cannot do that. So our answer to number 7 is that the slope is undefined. All right, so I want you to try this one on your own. See if you can find the slope of line number 1. All right, when you come back, I'll have the answer written on your screen and we'll go through it together. So go ahead and pause your video now. Alright, so you should have gotten a slope of 1/3. How we did that, what we wanted to do was identify our 2 points, and we want to look for the rise over the run. So our rise is we went up 2, so positive 2. Our run is 6 because we went to the right 6. So rise over run, 2 over 6. Now we need to simplify this fraction, so divide top and bottom by 2, and we get a slope of 1/3. Go ahead and try number 3 on your own, so go ahead and pause your video and give this one a try. Alright, so you should have gotten a slope of 4. How did we get that? So given the graph, we want to look for rise over run. Alright, so we look for the 2 points we're given. Our rise is we went up 8, so positive 8. We went to the right 2. So rise over run, 8 over 2, and we can simplify that. 8 divided by 2 gives us 4. Alright, if you have any questions on this, please call me over so I can help you. Otherwise, let's move on. Alright, one more you-try problem. So try to do number 5 on your own. See if you can do this one. When you come back, I'll have the answer written on your screen and we'll go through it together. Remember, it's a horizontal line. Alright, go ahead and pause your video now. Alright, so you should have gotten a slope of 0. Remember, horizontal line. Your skier is stuck. They're not going anywhere. They're going 0 miles an hour. Alright, horizontal lines always have a slope of 0. Alright, just a quick refresher. We just went over this a couple minutes ago. But reminder, how do we find the slope of a line given 2 points? Label it x1, y1, x2, y2. Plug it into our formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Plug our values in so we know M equals y2 is 4 minus y1 is negative 11 over 17 minus negative 8. Be careful with those negative numbers. It's still minus the negative number. So then it becomes 4 plus 11 over 17 plus 8. Then keep simplifying and we get 15 over 25. Simplify 15 over 25 by dividing top and the bottom by 5. So we get that M equals 3/5. Number 9, alright, x1, y1, x2, y2. Plug it into our formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Then plug our values in. Negative 7 is y2 minus negative 7 over 5 is x2 minus negative 6. So then we get, moving it over so we have some more space, negative 7 minus another negative 7, so it becomes plus 7 over 5 plus 6. This gives us 0 over 11. Remember, if 0 is on top, that is okay, alright? That just means that M equals 0. Alright, if 0 is on the bottom, that's when it's undefined and you would get an error in your calculator. 0 divided by anything is always 0. Alright, I want you to try number 11, 13, and 15 on your own. Alright, do all 3 of these, 11, 13, and 15. Do these ones on your own. When you come back, I'll have the answer written on your screen and we will go through them together. Let's go ahead and pause your video now. Alright, so for number 11, you should have gotten undefined. Start by labeling them x1, y1, x2, y2, then y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Anytime you're subtracting a negative number, change it to adding. So we get 7 over 0. Anytime we're dividing by 0 and 0 is our denominator, this is a big no-no, can't do it, undefined. 13, label them x1, y1, x2, y2, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Change them both to adding because we're subtracting a negative number. Then we get negative 4 over 8, and you have to simplify this. Divide top and the bottom by 4 to get negative 1/2. If you do not simplify, it is wrong. You have to always simplify your fractions. Then 15, x1, y1, x2, y2. Then plug it into our formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Remember, subtracting a negative number, same as adding. Then we get positive 7 on top, negative 3 on the bottom. So our slope is negative 7/3. If you have any questions about this, call me over so I can help you. Otherwise, let's move on. All right, so now we're going to be talking about parallel and perpendicular lines. So this is where the geometry comes into play, all right? So when we're dealing with parallel and perpendicular lines, the slopes can tell us a lot, all right? So parallel lines have the same slope, all right? Or they have equal slopes. And just in case I haven't told you this or you forgot, two little lines like this is the mathematical symbol for parallel lines. All right. Now, perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. So in case you don't know what negative reciprocal means, it means we flip it and change the sign. All right. So negative reciprocal just means flip it and change the sign. So flip the fraction, and if it's positive, make it negative. If it's negative, make it positive. And the symbol for perpendicular is an upside down T, okay? I just put parentheses around both of those, okay? But it's just the symbols in between. It's just the two lines and just the upside down T. All right, they're just inside parentheses for you there. All right, so some examples of negative reciprocals. Negative reciprocals, we want to flip it and change the sign. So 3/4, we would flip it to 4/3 and make it negative. So negative 4/3 would be the negative reciprocal. Now, anytime we have whole numbers, so like in number 2, we have 2. I want you to think of 2 as 2 over 1. Any whole number can be turned into a fraction if we put it over 1. So if we wanted to flip it and change the sign, we would flip it and say 1/2 and make it negative. Negative reciprocal of negative 7/8. Well, we flip it and make it 8/7, and now it's positive. 1 over 1, all right, so number 4 would just be 1 over 1. If we wanted to flip it, that would also be 1 over 1 would be flipped, and then we would make that negative. And how we would write negative 1 over 1 is just negative 1. And then last but not least, the negative reciprocal of 0. All right, the negative reciprocal of 0, I want you to think of 0 as 0 over 1. If we flip that, we get 1 over 0. All right, and if you remember, anytime we have a number divided by 0, that is always an error in our calculator and undefined, okay? So sorry, I'm running out of space there. So the negative reciprocal of 0 is undefined. And in case you ask, all right, yes, we would make the 1 over 0 negative, but no matter what, it's still over 0, so that's why it's undefined. All right, so now what we want to do is use the slope of our lines to determine if AB and CD are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So if they're parallel, they're going to have the same slope or equal slopes. If they're perpendicular, they're going to have negative reciprocal slopes. And neither would just be, if they're not equal and they're not negative reciprocals, we would just write neither. Okay, so first thing we want to do is find the slope of AB. So there's our 2 points, and we want to use our slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we label x1, y1, x2, y2. So to find the slope of AB, we say 6 minus 3 over 2 minus negative 2. Okay, then we keep simplifying this. We get 3 over, this becomes plus, so 3 over 4. So the slope of AB is 3 over 4. Now we want to find the slope of CD because we want to see if AB and CD are parallel. All right, so label them x1, y1, x2, y2, and we want to find the slope of CD. So y2 is 3 minus y1 is 0 over x1 is 3 minus negative 1. All right, so minus the negative 1 becomes plus the slope of CD equals 3 over 4. All right, so both of our slopes are 3/4. We know the slope of CD, plug it into our table. We know the slope of AB, plug it into our table. Now, because they have the same slopes, we say that these lines are parallel. And we're done. All right, so 3. What we want to do is we first want to find the slope of AB. So we're using these 2 points. We call them x1, y1, x2, y2. Plug them into the slope formula. So we find the slope of AB, and we're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We change this to 2 plus 12 over negative 2 plus 9. So we get 14 over 7. And then we can say that the slope of AB equals 2. Write that in our table. Then we want to find the slope of CD. So call it x1, y1, x2, y2. Find the slope of CD. So we do y2, which is negative 2, minus y1 is 6, over x2 minus x1. This becomes plus 1, right? So we get negative 8 over negative 4. Therefore, the slope of CD is positive 2. Plug that into our table. Now they have the same slope, so we say that these two lines are parallel as well. All right, if they have the same slope, they're parallel. Negative reciprocal slopes, perpendicular, and if they're neither the same nor negative reciprocals, we just say neither. They don't follow either of those rules. All right, number 5. First we want to find A and B, so call it x1, y1, x2, y2. Our goal is to find the slope of AB. So the slope of AB is going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This gives us 1 over negative 3. So the slope of AB is negative 1/3. Negative 1/3. All right, then we want to find the slope of CD. x1, y1, x2, y2. Plug it into a slope formula. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This gives us 3 over, and then this becomes plus, so 3 over 1. So the slope of CD equals 3. All right. Now, 3 over 1 and negative 1/3 are negative reciprocals because we flip it and change the sign to get the other one. So therefore, because they're negative reciprocals, these lines are perpendicular. All right, we're going to skip 7 just for the sake of time because it's so similar to the other ones. All right, I really want to show you guys 9 and 11, so we're going to move on to those. If you feel like you need some extra practice with these, do the evens, do number 7. I have the answer key and I can check them for you. All right, just raise your hand and call me over and let me know you need to see the answer key to check those, okay? Otherwise, let's move on to number 9. All right, so number 9, this one's a little bit unique, and that's why I wanted to do it with you. So we want to start out just like the other ones. Find the slope of AB. Call it x1, y1, x2, y2. Plug it into our slope formula. So we're finding the slope of AB, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We rewrite this as negative 10 plus 8. we get negative 2 over negative 7. And a negative divided by a negative, all right, the negatives cancel out. So our slope is just positive 2/7. All right, so the slope of AB is 2/7. Then we want to find the slope of CD. All right, same like before, x1, y1, x2, y2. Find the slope of CD, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We get 1 plus 13 over negative 2 plus 6, which gives us 14 over 4. All right, we want to simplify this, divide top and bottom by 2, and we get 7 over 2. All right, so slope of CD is 7 over 2. While these are reciprocals, they're not negative reciprocals, so we cannot say they are perpendicular. All right, and they're not the same, so we can't say they're parallel. Therefore, this would be a neither. We would say these are neither parallel nor perpendicular. All right, the last example problem we're going to do for today's video notes, go ahead and do number 11. Try this one on your own. When you come back, I'll have the answer written on your screen and we'll go through it together. Just a hint, I'm not trying to trick you, okay? Remember your slopes. Remember, can you divide by 0? What if 0 is on top? What if 0 is on the bottom? All right, go ahead and pause your video. Try to do this one now. All right, so you should have gotten that the slope of AB is undefined. How we get that is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 0 is on the bottom, and we can never divide by 0. You get an error in your calculator. This is an undefined slope. Slope of CD, we want to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 0 is on top. It's okay if 0 is our numerator. When we plug that into a calculator, 0 divided by anything is always 0. Slope of CD is 0. Undefined and 0 are negative reciprocals, and therefore, if the slopes are negative reciprocals, the lines are perpendicular. All right. I also want you to think of it as an undefined line. A line with an undefined slope is going to be a vertical line. A line with a slope of 0 is going to be a horizontal line. All right, and a vertical and horizontal line will always meet at a right angle. That's why they're perpendicular. Okay. All right, I hope you learned a thing or two about slope today. If you have any questions, call me over so I can help you. Otherwise, look to the board to see what to do next, and I hope that you have a great day. Bye.